as structural engineering lecturer Matt de Jong knows only too well.
So these buildings were built over 100 meters long and 100 meters wide and 18 meters high. It's just a huge amount of mass which your foundation needs to resist.
To erect the pens as quickly as possible, the Nazis decide to build them on dry land. But there's a problem. Excavation of the foundations reveals that the soil is too unstable to take the weight of these massive structures.
Engineers, I think, were quite worried about the building actually settling down and sinking into the ground, so they built the structure on pile foundations. Basically, long steel beams or poles inserted vertically, pounded vertically into the ground, and that gives you the ability to resist sinking of the building.
With the foundations in place, boats, trucks, and railway wagons bring 167,000 tons of raw material into Lorient every month to feed the construction. On top of that, thousands of workers from all over the Nazi Empire are drafted into Lorient to build the pens. Alongside them, a handful of skilled French engineers occupy senior positions. One of them, the Deputy Director of Naval Construction, is called Jacques Stoskov.
I need the estimates from the steel yard for the tonnage.
Stoskov was one of a number of highly skilled French engineers who worked here at the base. His main role was at the arsenal, the storage facility for torpedoes, which was a little way away from the pens themselves.
You can provide before the end of the month. End of the month.
Is that all, sir?
No, excuse me.
What made Stoskov different was that he was from Alsace, the border region between France and Germany, and that meant that he spoke excellent German. That made him particularly useful to the German hierarchy.
When you all have the figures, let me have your reports.
Gradually, his responsibilities increased, and he supervised French workers all across the base. He wasn't particularly well liked by his compatriots, partly because he was a rather serious character, but also because of his close associations with the Germans. But men like Stoskov were essential to the Germans in keeping the construction and the operation of this base on track.
As construction progresses, U-boats continue to sail from Lorient. It rapidly becomes the most important base in France, known as the Base of Aces, as all the U-boat top guns dock here. Men like Gunter Prien, having already sunk 27 Allied ships at the end of February 1941, he sails out of Lorient on a new mission.
Keep it steady.
Hunting a convoy of 37 ships, Prien and 3 other boats attack.
Fire! Fire!
But they're spotted by Allied destroyers and forced to dive for safety.
It's coming straight at us! Dive! 90 meters!
Prien's crew rush to the front of the U-boat to speed the sub's dive. Remaining totally silent is vital as the destroyer's sonar listens for any noise from below in the search for the U-boats. Once detected, the Allied escorts unleash hundreds of depth charges.
No survivors?
Priam's death hits Dönitz hard. It confirms how vulnerable his subs are and how vital it is to complete the new pens. As construction steps up, so does the influence of Frenchman Jacques Stoskopf.
He was a rather serious character, and his close associations with the Germans meant that he developed a reputation as a collaborator. On one occasion, he was responsible for organising 250 Frenchmen to be sent to Germany to work. As the train left the station, some people in the crowd were heard to shout, "Death to Stoskopf."
Meanwhile, the submarine bunkers K1 and K2 continue to rise at a phenomenal rate. By December 20th, 1941, after just 10 months of work, the pens are completed. And not a moment too soon. Just 9 days earlier, Hitler had declared war on the United States. Despite facing two of the most powerful navies on Earth, Nazi U-boats continue causing havoc in the Atlantic, sinking 27 ships in December alone. The U-boats are using up their stocks of torpedoes almost as fast as they can replenish them. But Dönitz's new U-boat bunkers are ready, and the entrance towers over the harbor at Lorient.
K1 and K2 were unique in that there was only one access point from the water. Once they'd entered the dock, the gates would have been closed and the water gradually pumped out.
Beneath the water is a cradle sitting on a 10-degree ramp. The submarine settles in the cradle and is winched up the ramp towards the dock facilities. U-boats are then pulled out of the safety of K1 and onto a transport unit between the two pens.
This is a post-war French submarine, but the unit itself is the original piece. It's absolutely enormous. It had 32 wheels running along various rails, left to right and parallel with the pens themselves. That meant that the U-boat could be shunted into position next to whichever dock was ready to receive it. This system is unique. There's nothing like it anywhere along the Atlantic coastline. But it's also quite vulnerable. The U-boats are exposed out in the open air, but most importantly, the system itself is comparatively fragile. Just one bomb strike here would render the entire system completely useless, and any U-boats that were being repaired wouldn't be able to get back out to sea, and of course, they wouldn't be able to receive any new U-boats coming in through K1.
The whole process takes around 90 minutes before the U-boats are safely under cover again.
It's hard to describe just how enormous a space this is, and there were 13 of these all around the base in K1 and K2. It's so tall that an overhead crane could come over the submarine and remove the periscope completely.
Extending 16 feet from the top of the submarine, that's no mean feat, but it's just one of a number of repairs and checks to do.
In fact, almost half of all the repairs and refits that happened to U-boats on the French Atlantic coast were done here in Lorient. That's what made it so special and so critical to the German U-boat campaign.
Lorient's transformation from fishing port to deadly U-boat base enables Admiral Dönitz to hit 500 Allied ships in 1941 and force Britain to the brink of defeat.
The U-boat war was the only thing that frightened Churchill, as he later admitted in his memoirs, about the war, the possibility of Britain's resources being cut off at sea. And it prompted him to focus attention of the British Armed Forces and the Allies in general on winning the Battle of the Atlantic.